Why? Well, it's because the owners refuse, and I don't blame them, to even acknowledge the ridiculous revenue sharing scam. There, I just said it out loud. Scam that the WNBA Players Union is suggesting. All right, they're wanting 30% of revenue, gross revenue. The league has come out and said, look, we'll keep losing money if we do that model.
That is not hyperbole. That is not clickbait. The WNBA's owners have addressed past issues. The planned revenue-sharing arrangements would result in ongoing losses, hence the players have decided to abandon the model. We are now 3 weeks past the January 9th CBA deadline. ESPN reports that the two sides are not just far apart, they are officially at a standstill. The league has declined to react to the players' newest request, deeming it unrealistic and not worth a counteroffer. What are the outrageous demands made by players that owners refuse to respond to?
It's not a good idea. It's stupid as hell. But that is what the players, I just put a visual illustration for you. That is what the players are content with the owners to continue to do, is put their money in a pile and keep burning it. And the owners have finally said, much to their credit, frankly, you know what? I'm giving the owners credit. They finally said enough is enough. Either we do a deal that's beneficial for everybody, or the league won't continue. It's that simple.
The 30% rate applies to gross revenue, not net revenue, after expenses. Gross revenue refers to the amount earned before expenses. This includes arenas, travel, staff pay, marketing, and production expenditures. Leagues counter off 70% of net revenue over the lifespan of the deal, with players receiving a major part only after the league turns a profit. Here's why the distinction counts. Caitlin Clark's first season contributed significantly to the WNBA's record-breaking revenue in 2024. Attendance, ratings, and retail sales were all up. This year marks the start of a $2 billion media rights contract that will span 11 years. Despite having their best year ever in terms of external metrics, the league nonetheless lost $40 million compared to the preceding 3 years' total of $50 million.
Waited. They should have gotten a year in to the new media rights deal so everybody could see, with Caitlin Clark healthy, because that's all this is about. The entire media rights deal is because of Caitlin Clark. And she was injured last year. A full season of media rights money, the gate revenue coming back because Caitlin Clark is back. The Caitlin Clark goes back into full effect, and they can get a year of actual data under.
Last fall's New York Post report revealed important information. The NBA owners who sponsored the WNBA are dissatisfied with the league's continued financial support after nearly 30 years. Players are requesting larger checks and revenue sharing, resulting in ongoing losses. Think about the math here. Giving up 30% of gross sales when expenses exceed income might lead to rapid financial burnout. The players' proposal goes beyond simply continuing to lose money. It worsens the losses. The owners have stated that they will no longer engage in certain practices, as any logical business person would.
Percent of net revenue over the lifetime of the agreement. That is what the league wants to give. That's net revenue, net. And in other words, you have to start turning a profit before you see any money. That's fair. I'm not talking about their salaries. I'm talking about extra money. While players have proposed receiving 30% of gross, and that's not going to happen. Sources have indicated to ESPN that owners are unlikely to significantly yield on the revenue-sharing position, though there is wiggle room at the cost of other.
The players' union submitted their suggestion a month ago. After reviewing the proposal, the league determined that it was not significantly different from past union suggestions and thus did not require an official response. According to ESPN sources, the league is waiting for players to present a more realistic proposal. That's a fairly clear message. The owners are not engaging in negotiation games. They are not lowering their offer to allow for a compromise. They argue that your method is flawed. Rethink this totally. This is especially complex. The players terminated the last CBA early. They opted out with time remaining to leverage on Caitlin Clark's influence in the new media rights contract. The goal was to negotiate from a position of strength during the league's peak popularity. However, they may have underestimated the timing.
$40 million. As part of that New York Post article, it said the owners are officially pissed that they're not making any money. Players have broadly stated that the percentage of gross revenue for which they're asking, quote, represents our value and is not too much. I'm going to tell you, you hear that? You ever hear another saying that's used a lot? It represents my truth. That's my truth. No, there's no your truth. There's just the truth. That's some made up shit. That's poof, out of nowhere, my truth. No, there's just the truth. You may not like the truth, but it is what it is.
Caitlin Clark was injured for a big part of the season. The financial benefit of having a healthy Caitlin Clark for the entire season under the new media rights deal has yet to be evaluated. The players could have waited a year for steady development and then negotiated from a stronger position, demonstrating that 2024 was not a fluke. The owners are currently bargaining based on limited data, citing a loss of $40 million while having the finest year ever. Why would we consent to a transaction that ensures additional losses? According to public declarations, the players believe their offering accurately represents their value and is reasonable. Professional sports value is not based on personal perceptions of worth. Revenue is the determining factor. Currently, despite record-breaking revenue, it falls short of covering costs.
That is your value. Frankly, nobody knows what that is yet. I think that's the problem. And that's why I said they should wait. By the way, they're also looking for middle ground on housing. I'm sorry, but if we're giving you nearly $2 million by the end of the next CBA, if we're giving an average salary of $500,000, I mean, I'm not paying for your housing. No. Now, if y'all want to find a place and all shack up together, which in this league, yeah, that's probably preferable. God. Things you got to worry about that no other sport has to
There is a crucial aspect of the negotiation that is often overlooked: housing. The players want the league to reimburse their housing costs during the season. The league's offer would increase the average compensation from $100,000 to $500,000 by the end of the next CBA, with maximum salaries approaching $2 million. At that salary level, the owner's role is straightforward. Your adults earn an average of $500,000 every year. Plan your own housing. While NBA players may claim to receive numerous benefits, they also produce billions of dollars in profit. Unfortunately, WNBA players are forced to compete in a financially struggling league. You cannot demand NBA privileges if you are not earning revenue. The issue is not one of fairness or human dignity. It is about basic economics. The league could give training camp housing, similar to what NFL teams do. Providing barrack-style lodgings for a few weeks of focused preparation is effective. Owners are refusing to pay for year-round housing in every club locale, despite upping salaries by 4 to 5 times. It's difficult to claim that their demands are unreasonable.
They're at a stalemate. Free agency needs to happen. Expansion draft needs to happen. Here we are. The update is they're at a stalemate. Tell me what you think. I'm starting to wonder. It's starting to feel like a strike is coming. And if a strike happens, understand, if you lose basketball, it is on the players. The owners have offered a whole lot more money. A whole lot more money. And the players refuse to sign a deal. Again, do a short CBA, 3 years, then go back to the table. I'm going to tell you the problem. You got a bunch of veteran players in this league that thinks their value, that they should have been making $1 million a year 10 years ago. And they're trying to make all that money up because their career's over. No, sorry, that's not the way it's going to work out for you. But now you at least got Unrivaled for another, I've got a video coming on that, for another year, maybe. And then you got Project B. At least you got other avenues you've had overseas.
Here's the real reason for the impasse. It is not about exact percentages, housing incentives, or unique negotiation points. There are two opposing viewpoints on how the league should operate. Veteran players say they should have earned $1 million per year 10 years ago. Women's basketball has experienced a surge in popularity, with sold-out stadiums and record-breaking television ratings. Some argue that the sport has been undervalued for years and that it is now time to compensate. Their approach aims to maximize revenue while many are nearing the conclusion of their careers. This is their last chance to capitalize on the league's increased popularity. The league's owners are eager to continue investing, but only if there is a clear road to profitability after nearly 3 decades of subsidization. The new media rights contract led to major investments in facilities, travel, and marketing. They have done that, but are unwilling to establish a revenue-sharing agreement that guarantees ongoing losses. Both positions make sense from their own perspectives. Players have legitimate issues over prior underpayment. The owners are hesitant to waste money. But here's the issue. These two stances cannot coexist in the same CBA. Someone needs to offer. Currently, neither party is willing to compromise. To propose a more realistic proposal, participants must accept less money than they believe they deserve. The owners cannot accept the players' proposition without committing to years of assured losses. With free agency blocked, the expansion draft delayed, and the league's operations in uncertainty, the pressure is increasing. According to ESPN, both parties recognize the need for compromise to move forward. According to one player, this is exactly how negotiations work. Understanding the need to compromise is not the same as being willing to do so. The timing adds to the uncertainty. The season begins in a few months. Allowing for free agency is necessary. The Golden State Valkyries expansion draft must be completed. Rosters should be finalized. Training camps cannot proceed without a CBA in place. If the current impasse continues, the game may be delayed or canceled. If the WNBA has a labor stoppage during a year of extraordinary momentum, it could have a negative impact on the league's growth. The players feel the owners will eventually cave due to their significant investment in the league. The owners believe that players will eventually accept reality, as the alternative is no league at all. Both sides are banking that the other will blink. But what happens if neither side blinks? What if players are sufficiently invested in their valuation that they are willing to strike? What if the owners are devoted to budgetary responsibility and willing to cease operations? Uncomfortable truth. Owners have more leverage. They own NBA clubs that generate significant revenue. The WNBA is considered a secondary investment for them. If it goes away, they'll be all right financially. Players rely on this as their main source of revenue. If the WNBA closes down even briefly, they will lose everything. Now, players have more options. Unrivaled is offering an alternative league, but its long-term future is uncertain. WNBA players often participate in international basketball during their off-season. Project BL League is rumored to launch. However, none of these solutions replace the WNBA's platform, visibility, or relationship to the NBA infrastructure. So, who is more willing to risk all to establish their point? This is the primary focus of our discussion. This is not a typical negotiation when both parties make compromises and leave slightly disgruntled, but rather functional. In this game of chicken, both sides are accelerating and waiting to see who will swerve. The players opted out of their CBA early, believing they had power. The league's success in 2024 led to speculation that owners would be eager to secure a pact to maintain momentum. However, the owners projected a loss of $40 million in 2024. They observed that, even at peak performance, the league did not generate revenue. They decided that providing players with everything they desire is not a viable option. If the players had waited one more year, allowed Caitlin Clark to play a full season under the new media arrangement, and amassed statistics indicating sustained profitability or a clear route to profitability, they could have had the leverage they thought they had. They negotiate from a posture that appears strong but is actually weak. The financials are currently stuck. They can't back down without appearing overly assertive. The owners cannot give in without establishing a precedent that the league will always operate at a loss. The season is approaching yet may not come to pass. Here's what I predict will happen next. One of three scenarios unfolds. In the first scenario, players submit a new proposal accepting net income sharing rather than gross. The owners agree to a bigger proportion of net than their initial offer, and everyone celebrates triumph. The players earn substantially more than they do presently. The owners see a way to profitability and the season begins on timed. And the second possibility, if the standoff persists and the season is delayed, financial pressure from missed wages may lead players to accept a contract that aligns with the owner's preferences. This would be ugly. Although relationships may suffer, the league will continue to exist. In the third scenario, neither party backs down. The season is cancelled or drastically curtailed, while the WNBA's man's is completely destroyed. Casual fans who discovered the league through Caitlin Clark lose interest. Sponsors become apprehensive. If the media rights deal is renegotiated downward, the WNBA will remain a niche product with annual losses. I don't believe the third situation happens. The stakes are too high for anyone to abandon. The mere potential of a stalemate highlights the severity of the situation. Players must understand something. This is not about what you deserve in an abstract moral sense. This focuses on the business's ability to sustain itself. The corporation cannot afford to pay out 30% of gross income to players when the league is losing money, even in the finest year ever. It's not the owner's greed. That is basic math. Owners also need to comprehend something. The players are the product. Without them, you have nothing. Lowballing the greatest players can lead to them contemplating other leagues, resulting in a loss of growth potential. Both sides present valid points. Both parties have valid concerns, but neither can obtain what they want. This is what compromise means.
So let me ask you something.
If you were negotiating the CBA, what would you propose? Is there a middle ground that allows the league to flourish while ensuring equitable compensation for players without bankrupting owners? I'm not sure if there is a middle ground right now. If not, the WNBA's brief moment of public relevance may be short-lived and not sustainable. Share your opinions in the comments. Tell me which side you believe is being unreasonable. Please share your suggestions for a compromise. This impacts anyone who wants to see women's basketball prosper. Currently, players and owners are unable to achieve their desired outcome.